Good morning, everyone, on a Sunday morning. I got an announcement for you guys. This black Gen X man is going to church. I know it's a rarity these days. I know, but I am. On this Sunday morning, I like to get up, do a few things spiritually, work out. I also plan my week, and today in particular, I'm reviewing footage to see how badly I went wrong in my previous transmissions. But today, I decided to put in this morning an invitation to church. I've accepted it. Oh, still not quite convinced. This black Gen X man. Some of us go, but the vast majority of us don't. But let me get more convincing. Let me get church ready. Let me clean myself up just a little bit. Better, huh? More convincing? Yeah, we used to do this more often than not back in the day. But yeah, on the way to church, I'm running a little bit late at this point. And as I said, I'm on my way to see Mama. Did I say that? Well, yeah, it's Mama who invited me to church. My mother's husband's mother. Now, both of my grandparents on both sides have left us. So I'm so happy I have one extra. I'm blessed. And I cherish this blessing more than any one of my other blessings. I look forward to seeing her probably once every couple weeks, 10 days. Try to space it out so it's special and I don't wear her out. But that's who I'm going to see. But before I go, let me say this. When I return, the subject at hand is the dismal numbers of black men in church these days. And we'll talk about that. We'll be using statistics, facts, figures, and logic. I know, who am I? And also, to support this, information from a dissertation, from a seminary candidate, or he's actually, I don't know if he's accepted at this point, for a doctorate. So we're going to use all this information and delve into the subject. However, if accountability is kryptonite, then I'm going to tell you right now, it's not for you, and you know who I'm talking to. And why I'm saying this, because it's been one of the main problems of our community, the accountability problem for a certain sector. The reason being is because without accountability, you're never wrong. And if you're never wrong, you're never sorry. And these people are particularly great at flipping things on their head, gaslighting you, and ultimately becoming the victim. Now, if that sounds like you, you can check out now. I can save you some time. But if you really are interested in the plight of the black man, then this is the conversation for you as it relates to church. But this is an overall conversation. It's not a microcosm. This is about our society in general. But anyway, let me get up out of here. You know me, I like to, I could talk forever. I might give you the whole talk if I don't stop. So I'll catch you guys in a little bit. We can't keep Mama waiting. My goodness, what a beautiful day, golly. I don't forget those. What's up, guys? Church was wonderful, man. It was really cool. Pastor didn't speak today, but I'm sure Mama was really quite delighted that I showed up a little bit late because you saw me getting out of here. Let me fix myself back to where I was so I can be camera ready just for you. But yeah, walked in and Mama, I surprised her, and I'm sure all the people like, who's visiting and so on and so forth. But the service was pretty good. Pastor didn't speak, but he found a friend of his to come in and speak. And when this gentleman started speaking, when he approached us there, I looked at him. Something might be wrong with him. It was apparent that this gentleman had gone through a lot in life, and he had some shortcomings. So right away, I realized that God was working because it wasn't about the messenger. In fact, it was about the message, but the message was even more potent because of the situation that this gentleman was apparently going through and had gone through. You could see it on him. So at the end of all that, I took a look around to make sure, because I knew I'd be talking about the demographical numbers of church. And yeah, the numbers were exactly the same. But I'm gonna cut. This is the accountability moment I spoke of. And if you want to leave, this is the best time to get out. So I don't want to hurt your feelings in any way, but I'm going to tell the absolute truth in the situation in regards to the male black men's dismal numbers as it relates to church. Well, first, let me give you an historical background of our behavior and treatment in this country. Well, we know what it is. Breaking of the buck, the overt, in-your-face sodomization and degradation of black men set the tone in this country for our relationship going forward. But even during those times, we still were able to keep our families together, and the male somehow remained head of the household as time progressed. But it's changed over time, and within the last generation or so, it has changed drastically. And this is outside of slavery, as far as men being heads of their households. So I'm going to start with the end in mind, so you know exactly where I'm going. The reason why black men aren't in church, and I'm going to give you straight up on this, is because we don't want to be near you. We don't want to be around black women. There's no other group of women on the planet that speak of in such a desperate, disrespectful manner of their men than black women. So it's Sunday. I'm relaxing. I'm getting ready for the week. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. But then I'm supposed to take my free time and go hang out with a group of women that, by and large, generally as a group, start off at the baseline level of disrespect for black men. The black men had enough. We're tired of it. Let me give you some numbers that are quite staggering, according to this dissertation. So let me start by qualifying this dissertation. This dissertation was written by a gentleman by the name of Gregory James Tate. And it was completed and accepted by the George Fox University, Portland Seminary School. He received his doctorate on February 21st of 2023. So that's the background of this gentleman and where he went. And let me say something about intellectual power. This guy, even though he received a doctorate, is not really that intellectually deep. I guess simplicity is key in communicating and sending and, information. But his intellectual chops to me weren't that great. But that doesn't change the statistical facts, which I'm about to delve into right now for us. So let's begin with the beginning of this for him. In his introduction, he states that, to become more specific, we find that upwards of 80% of black men in the country do not attend a church service in person or online. Yet, out of those who do not attend, upwards of 80% consider themselves religious and believe in a higher power. So we do believe in God. We're not atheists. The demographics of nearly all established churches, especially congregations, reveal that black men are greatly in the minority in attendance in church, if they go at all. So that's one of his main findings, and that's the premise upon which he writes this dissertation. But he then starts to say that, however, the problem reaches back further and presents a bigger dilemma within the black community, in which black men are a fading presence in the homes. Basically to say that there's a correlation, direct correlation, between black men being driven from the home and black men not showing up to church. The numbers are this: married couples, 38%, 17 million or so. female householders, 32%. Male householders that aren't married, 6%. Now, this has to be engineered. It is not the nature of man, of men. We're designed by the man upstairs, and this is not his design. This is engineered. And it was accepted and perpetuated by our black women. The change throughout all the slavery period, antebellum South, all the way up till somewhere around the early 50s and 60s, we kept our families together and we went to church, even through all of it. But something happened when feminism and all the gifts and bright baubles and pretty things that they gave black women, something happened then. Our black women decided to side with them. The welfare laws and all the benefits that came thereafter basically completed the formula for this country as far as marginalizing and getting rid of the black man. They figured out how to cleave the woman off of our community. And in doing so, she teamed up with the white women who by and large team up with their white men. So the historic reference is this: black women, based on statistical information on their political affiliations, are handmaidens to the white woman. And by definition, still, because if the white women are voting with their men by and large, bed wenches of the white man. They just took it and repackaged it. And black women have taken it hook, line, and sinker and are lapping up the power and throwing it every moment they get into some black man's face who they claim as a general body of women are inadequate, that we don't need you anymore. Why? Because the white man is giving you education, jobs, and the security of benefits of many types. Black women took the shiny object. Black women took the purse. And in doing so, they showed black men their butts. A perfect example of this can be illustrated in the 2020 election. Trump was elected, and the deciding tipping vote or demographic came from, guess who? His white women. White women put Trump into office after all the despicable things he said about women and had done. You know why? Because they know what side their bread is buttered on. It's buttered on the white side. I'd rather have my racist man who's going to make sure this country follows a pattern that benefits me as a white woman in office than someone else. He's speaking to me. Black women, let me tell you something. White women aren't angels. They're just as racist or even more so than their white counterparts. In the 60s and 70s, who showed up to your home? White social workers. Who raided your homes? White female social workers. On the other side, in the Deep South and in their projects, however, these raids were not conducted. It was specifically designed to remove the black man from their homes, from our homes, and removed as the heads of household. And the problem has perpetuated and has grown, and women have become drunk with this power, the things, the hypergamist behavior in them, accepting everything that this society is giving them and shunning off the black man. There's no group of women on this planet that speak in a desperate way, in a disrespectful way about their men than the women in this society, and in particular the black women towards their black men. You don't need us. We ain't SHIT. You ain't making enough money. And the general level that we expect from a black woman when we enter into a space, we know it's of disrespect. Can you imagine the psychological repercussions of generational gaslighting of black men? Let me give you another statistic that's going to blow your mind from this study. And it's about how everyone views black men. On many social and economic measures, black men are far worse. Oh, pardon me. Black men fare worse, not only than white men, but white women and black women as well. Let me read that again. I botched that. On many social and economic measures, black men fare worse, not only than white men, but also worse than white women and black women. Part of the cause is that black men are uniquely stigmatized. According to studies of implicit bias conducted by political scientists Ismail White and Corinne McConaughey. Here are the numbers. More than 40% of white respondents rank many or almost all black men as violent. So 40% of all white people see black men as violent. White men are far less likely to be viewed in that manner. Even though the statistics show that the crime that is committed against you is more likely to be committed by someone who looks like you because we are in the same communities together. It is just a statistical fact. Yet, we receive the stigma. Why? Because of Hollywood, because of the painting, the dark painting of our image. So much so that today, and I have a film degree, that what you find, the landscape of what the social message may be in a movie is often extremely gynocentric. I told you I work in Hollywood. So I know who's producing everything. And it's not white men anymore. It's white women. We live in a gynocentric society. And get this, the reflection in this social account, this real live understanding, looking through the lens and into the soul of a society through its media, was done on purpose. And the result of this, after the Birth of Nations movie, them figuring out the psychological effect of movies, there's never been a separation from psychological programming and Hollywood. That being understood, and I've studied countless films, I had to receive my degree. And this is expressed quite clearly in film school. This phenomenon has been going on so much so that today, every black man you see in a movie is either holding a gun, or he's subservient, or he's showing some type of violence, or he's subservient to the women in the movie, in particular, white women these days. You can't find a black man in a leading role of any type unless he's kissing somebody's butt, some white chick or something like that. He's not standing alone. The reason why, then you might wonder, why do they even put us in movies? Because we are Ra. We are sun gods. And it's the one thing they will admit quietly, is that we make them money. That has been why they brought us here, and that's the only reason they work with us, and that's the reason why you find us in Hollywood. Make no mistake. If they could eliminate us from everything and make the same amount of money, they would. Here's a cute tidbit on film in Hollywood. The black film existence of black people in film have saved Hollywood from bankruptcy at least 3 times, complete bankruptcy. The most recent one happened with Wakanda. The one prior to that happened in the 70s. Hollywood was on its way to being non-existent if it wasn't for the black movies in the 70s. Why do you think they started making them? Not because all of a sudden they came to their senses and racism left their bodies in their minds. It's because we made the money. In fact, we saved Hollywood at the time. During COVID, exactly the same thing. And that black movie, they knew would save them. And that's why they put the production into it. Soon thereafter, the movies that came were all woman dominated. Woman King and all this other crap. So they use us and then they recoil us and put us back into place. And currently, you'll find that the top 5, normally the top 3 of actors in any movie, the black woman has a spot. Why? Because white women need them. White women are running Hollywood, and white women are making sure that black women have one of the top spots. Guess where black men are? Marginalized, even in movies. I don't watch movies anymore, only to do research. And anytime I'm sucked into a movie, sooner or later, they start doing these types of imageries. And I'm not caught up in the story. I get the hell up out. So what I consume is not movies anymore, only to confirm and reconfirm what I know now is happening today in our society. Why would a group of men hang out with a group of women on a Sunday, a day off, that have shown them nothing but their asses and disrespect? We don't want to be around you. We get it. You don't like us. You don't want us. You don't need us. And as a result, we've responded. Where all the good men are, we're avoiding you. And if you're at church, we're not. So that's the deal, man. A few more statistical things about this particular study stood out to me. But one thing, after me analyzing his approach, was that there was a lack of accountability of any type. The elephant is in the room. He even offered it by saying that there's a correlation between the black man and the black woman as far as being pushed out of the home, that black men aren't showing up to church. Did he delve into that? No. Pastors have their arms and wrists tied because their constituency is women. So oftentimes they're just simps and chumps to the women that sit in front of them in church, all to hope that they can return to support and keep the church going because black men aren't there. So you can't get accurate analysis from church men. As much as these guys may be anointed or men of the cloth, their minds are biased just as much as the rest of society, in my opinion. And even if it isn't, they make sure not to bring it up. They don't want to run out. Women will leave a church if you talk to them like this, and they know it. So summing it all up, with some statistics I have here from this dissertation by Mr. Gregory Tate. I took some notes to make it a little bit easier to find some of this stuff. Dark melanated people, black people, 78% have religious affiliations. Melanated people, 80% do not attend service in person. Melanated men do not attend service in person or online. Okay? Crazy numbers. And I dare say that these are the reasons why. Let me go through a few of these highlights that I have here. Through many trials of hardships, black males have had to endure in America, such as the historical horrors of slavery, the repercussions of the aftermath it unleashed when it was abolished. So what he did was to sum this particular dissertation up so we can go. He was trying to figure out policies and ways to bring black men into church. But the elephant in the room is that we're running from the women that are in church. We're not running to them. So any social programs or, programs to help black men increase their numbers in church, if they're not predicated by the conversation of restoring the respect of black women in our direction, then we're missing the point completely and completely delusional. Once again, I'll repeat, as much as I love the man upstairs and as much as he loves us, I'm not going to put myself in a position at church and put myself in a place to be quite honest, to be open and vulnerable to a population of women who don't like us, don't want us, don't need us, and they've expressed it for 2 or 3 generations now. You don't want us? Okay, we get it. But now you want me to show up to church? Nah, I'm not even listening. Let me tell you what men like me do when we see women, black women, and we assess the situation with our senses, either by listening or hearing, because you can hear them more often than not before you get to them. They're extremely loud. What we do is we prepare ourselves for that negative perception. One, and if we can avoid them, we do. That's it. We avoid you guys. Another statistic you may not like, black women, 51% of black men in the United States are single, in the middle class, and childless. The other percentage of black men, I would say somewhere around 30-something%, are married in relationships. The men that these women are often referring to confirm and reconfirm their biases against black men are basically about 20 to 15% of the male population that are not the ones they should be checking for. They say that you should find, as a man, a wife. We're not looking for you. We don't want you. Our marriage numbers are down. Why? Because our women are accepting, have had, and is continuously accepting college and everything else, pushing them way past marriage, postponing marriage, building a community, finding a mate, and starting a family until their 30s. If you know anything about men, women want resources, men want purity, beauty, cooperation, and childlessness. That is the complete opposite of what we're getting from our women. And it's a reflection of complete disrespect. It's kind of crazy how women just take that route when there isn't men at the top of their community. Crazy. That tells me something about the nature of women that is completely chaotic and self-serving. So, though this was something positive, I think it ended up that way as well. But you got to take your medicine. If you want to fix this problem, and that's what this was all about, we got to restore the black man to his position in his family. And not figure out all these kind of crazy tactics and techniques to get us in church. We need to find women that respect us so we can build our communities, and then church is reflected in that. There's no community. Black women consider themselves a total demographic unto themselves, i.e. the 2020 election in Ice Cube, when he went to speak to the country about a black agenda, black women told him, we're not part of that. We're a specific demographic of our own, and we need things carved out. I'm sure they didn't even read the proposal he had before they responded. And you can go on YouTube right now and query this, and you'll find shows, a particular show with some, ex-celebrity females that are giving Ice Cube the business on his agenda for black people. Not the agenda itself, but the fact that what's in there for black women. He said, well, shit, you guys are part of the black community. They told him we're not. So if you have particular needs, yet the society has catered to you to get you away from us by giving you all sorts of benefits. If black men don't need a specific carving of benefits, who does? So you need special benefits, but the black man doesn't. Yet the black man showed up with a plan for family. You rejected it. We reject you as a result. That's why we don't show up at church. It's just the truth, man. It's just the truth. The elephant in the room. And I don't think there's a remedy for this. Because as a black man, as single as I am now, and as effective as I am in meeting women, I've never had trouble meeting women. I've been a cosmetologist. I still hold my license over 30 years now, even though I'm not active. The reason why I left the business, I can go into the shop right now, establish a clientele, and within 6 months, I'll be making $800 and above for any 3 to 4 days of the week. And on my off days, $400 to $500 on a slow day. I made chips. The reason why I left the industry is because I got tired of being around black women. I got freaking tired of the bullshit. And I left all of that success and money behind. I should have 2-3 salons right now. I should be making $200,000-$300,000 for profits at this point, after paying all bills with my mind and the time and work I put into my industry. But because I wanted so desperately to get away from women, black women in particular, I left it all behind. I'm telling you, this black man has been Me Too'd by a child at school. I have been accused of sexual harassment on a campus at work, where I worked by myself at night with no interaction with women. I have been lied to at work. I had a woman accused. I had to write up a paper or a response to me referring to a woman as sweetheart in conversation. In a conversation I broached to help her. Lastly, I was removed from my executive position 2 months ago because a black young lady who started a conversation with me on a shift that took 12 hours, at the 10th hour of the shift, she came to me and asked me some questions about me getting along and not getting along with someone. I told her, I said, look, I'm an executive guard. I handle business. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm doing just fine. I don't have a problem with anyone. I'm just assertive and direct, and that's my job. But I take care of people as if they were mine. I love people. But somehow a man being a man around a black woman is considered bad. We cannot be men. So the conversation went like this: what's your name? So right away I knew something was up. She crept up on me. After 10 hours, everything's quiet. I've done all my work for the day. The Emmys are rolling. Everybody's inside. I've handled fires. I've put out fires. I'm literally handling all of the talent. They're coming through me. I'm dressed in all black. It's cold, so I have a trench coat. I also have gloves. I have a phone with everyone in it, QR codes to be read off of their invitations. I'm handling talent. The woman that approached me had a yellow jacket on that said staff. So right away, I'm figuring what's going on. A black woman coming at me. I'm already scared because any interaction with a black woman ends in a black man going to jail, losing his jobs, police showing up, something.